Howdy, folks. It is I, your written Rent Ralph, talking to you straight from our show here, Apple Bites. Ooh, we have a feedback loop going over here. Where are we having the feedback? There we go. All right. Gotta love live shows. The storm alone was getting me worried on if it was going to stop us or not. But we are live. We are here. We are ready to go. And with that, I am going to bring our guest right in so we can start talking all the great stuff.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing over there?
I'm doing all right, man. Getting it together, working hard every day.
That's what we got to do, man. Especially when we're doing all this independent stuff, trying to get our word out there, trying to show the world exactly what we have to offer.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's an everyday grind that never stops.
All right, so tell the audience who you are, what you do, all the good stuff, the elevator pitch, everything that they want to hear so they know what we're talking about today.
So I'm Brent Trey Sands. I'm the writer and the creator of Impoundcomics, which is a universe that I've been sat on since 2018, officially launched it in 2020. And it's just a universe that I'm creating one book at a time, literally.
So tell us a little bit about the books that you do have, because I know that you got a couple of different books going on at the moment.
So there's currently 11 comic books in total in the Impound universe, and 2 kids books, and
Nice.
it's 6 different series. Our flagship is Impound, who is the Impound series, and we have the Rogue Assassin Seraph, reincarnated Egyptian goddess Lady Monarch, Decimus, who will be like our biggest villain, our Majin Buu or dark side kind of character. Um, Alina, who is a ex-gladiator who turned superhero, and the Entity Saga, which is the only book in our universe that I didn't personally write, but they are in the Empower universe. So we are kind of moving towards adding other creators to what we're doing.
It sounds like you guys have been thinking this out. So what's the secret origin? How did all this start?
It started just with Impound. That's our universe ended up being named after him because it was only going to be about him when we started,
Right.
and just having more time, waiting for the next book to be illustrated. Me just twiddling my thumbs in the meantime made me want to think of other stories, other characters, other ways to tie in, and then we accidentally became a universe, which wasn't the intent in the beginning.
That's how it works, though, because I know from experience, because well, I've dipped my hand into the comic writing area myself. That sometimes you start with this little tiny idea, and it
Right.
starts to explode into this
Or
huge other.
spiral on its own.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you got crises happening and worlds ending, and whoo.
Right. And then it's like all of a sudden it's like, man, this mission has gotten like out of control almost.
Exactly.
He was just an MMA fighter that was just fighting like local gangsters. Now it's like Decimus is like around now. It's like it's a whole nother thing.
It always amazes me how this stuff happens. I know as a writer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Where you put an idea out there, and then everything starts to build on top of that idea, and build and build and build, and the universe gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Uh, it's an amazing way for things to go. And I like to like credit like a lot of stuff that I do from D&D, because that's how D&D starts. You start off with a character you've created, and then there's a world that happens, and then there's a universe, and then there's it's an incredible process that writing is.
It's never ending process in a lot of cases, especially this case. There's so many holes that I'm still trying to fill, or things that I avoid because I don't want to discuss yet because I genuinely don't know what the answer is yet. So it's part of the fun of it though. But
Yeah.
I made a TikTok recently. I'm trying to get the public help me to figure out what our superhero team name is because I have no idea. And people did hundreds and hundreds of suggestions, and I'm still not satisfied. So one day. I know it's gonna come to me. The main thing is for me, I don't rush anything. I don't release anything because people want me to. It is a hobby that became a business,
Right.
and I'm gonna keep it. It's how I would like to read it, how I would like to know is the best way to present it to everyone else. And people of like minds of me will appreciate it more.
I completely know exactly what you're saying because I'm the type of writer that writes for myself. I write the story that I want to see written. So to me, I never feel like I need to rush anywhere because I'm trying to write the idea that's in my head and what needs to come out. We actually have done stuff before where we have the audience help us write stories, but at the
Mhm.
same time, it's the whole concept of where's this story going to go? How are we going to put it all together? And you're trying to write a cohesive, good story, that goes well with the history that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to make sure it makes sense in this fictional world, but it's fictional, but it has to make sense.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And you know that as writers, we set rules for our worlds, and we're trying not to break those rules. And then
exactly.
it always bugs me out with fandom. I respect them, but at the same time, fandom wants you to throw things in there, and I'm like, where are you coming from with this?
Yeah,
How does this fit into the world?
yeah, absolutely not. I think the biggest ask I always get is people always want me to make a speedster character, and I hate speedsters. I'm not a fan of speedsters at all, and I also feel like there are certain characters that are dominated so much that yours doesn't get an identity. Like
Yeah,
the Flash is always going to be above and beyond the speedster,
yeah,
and even like Quicksilver, who's decades old, still just gets the back seat to him. You know
yep,
what I mean? They still look at him as, oh, that's Marvel's Flash.
exactly.
So now it's like I don't want a speedster now. You know what I mean? Like speedsters, aquatic characters, and blind characters are the three that I stay away from.
I can see why, and like you're saying, what ends up happening is always like, oh, it's either an Aquaman copy or a Namor copy, or and you sit there going, no, this is something totally different, But those are so steadfast that it's
Yeah,
hard to come off from them. Yeah,
it's hard to mentally just take that out of there. Even Namor, if you don't really know comics, you think Namor is an Aquaman clone, and he was created before Aquaman.
exactly.
But it's just Aquaman just had a better name. You know what I mean? That was really what it came down to.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's just I like that's it's just it's all you're already gonna get comparisons, and that's okay. Everyone gets inspired by something else. Just be open about it. But I think those characters dominate their lane too much. Where it's just tough.
It's so funny because I feel like those two do that a lot. But when it comes to like the Superman type characters or the Batman type characters, there seems to be more room for
Yes,
to play with.
yeah, because it's just I think that like it is a popular thing though to make a Superman clone, especially now. You
Hmm.
know, because I think the difference too is Superman almost feels so like no limit to him
Right.
beyond the kryptonite part that people like to see the limits in other characters, or they just like to see a different alternative of that. Um, which is why characters like Homelander work. Like, what if he wasn't this, really good character that everyone believes him to be, or Brightburn? When what if he never became? You know what I mean? Like at all. Like, what if as a kid the
Hmm.
bullying turned him something else? And I think that those are really interesting stories. Omni Man. I just it's cool. And it's
No,
like I don't know what determines that, but it is.
it's so funny though, because you brought it up, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, why is that with Superman and Batman? It's like, oh yeah, well, we can make as many of those as we want, but
Yeah,
as soon as you do a speedster or somebody that uses water as their power, all of a sudden you're like, so you're doing an Aquaman or a Flash?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's no running away from it. That wasn't even like a joke for a speedster.
I gotta admit, like doing speedsters after the Flash are kind of difficult. Doing a speedster right, I think that's what it is.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to do a speedster, but they always I feel like they leave their speedsters up in the air.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's tough. It's tough. And like the one thing about the boys that made it so cool is it's almost a spoof of
Yeah.
those characters. You know what I mean? So that made it okay, but it's I don't know. It's tough. It is
Oh,
like
it
it's.
definitely is.
I
So
don't know if I'm ever gonna have a speedster. I don't think
yeah.
so.
So what sets your universe apart? Because I can already tell that this has a different feel to it than what we're talking about now.
Um, I think of for one, the overabundance of minority characters being the dominant
Hmm.
uh, kind of ethnicity of my universe. Um, I think that my universe, I often say, not in like an arrogant way. I think that we're way uh, we can reach heights of what cool can be considered cool better than other universes because I think
Right.
we were kind of built more on pop culture and urban culture versus trying to transition into it. You know, everything that I learned on how to market and how to promote, I learned from working in the music industry. And I treat my characters like independent artists. I treat their books like albums, and we have a just a different you know, authentic urban appeal, So um, part of that goes into the way our characters look. I think part of that I think also goes into me pushing that narrative,
Hmm.
and I think it was just that transition was never a transition for us. That's just what we were built on.
Well, it's funny that you say that because a lot of people, well, I don't feel like type of person who goes, well, you take this character and you make him into a minority, or you take that character and you make him into a minority. I'm like, okay, you can do that if you have a great story. I don't mind if there's a story involved in how this character is this or becomes this, or maybe he's from another universe. But I find that if you're really creating a character that has an ethnic background, then their story is different than
Yeah,
other characters.
exactly,
I got a Spanish superhero that I've been writing for a while, and his family has a lot to do with who he is, and his Spanish upbringing has a lot to do with what he becomes. So
exactly,
without that, it would be a totally different hero.
exactly, exactly. Like, and it's just certain things that I don't think that gets factored in all the time. I did a TikTok, and there's now the recent thing about Giancarlo being Professor X, and Giancarlo is an amazing actor. I love Giancarlo,
Yeah,
but it's like,
he'd probably kill it, but I see where you're going. Go ahead.
but Professor X comes from inherited family wealth.
Yeah.
How does an African American character out the World War II, the 60s, whatever time period you're putting it in. How does that African American character fit into that? You know what I mean? It's going to be hard to make that make sense. You got to break the character down and rebuild it a different way. And there's always that. Yeah, but those characters kind of based on civil rights. Yeah, but Professor X specifically, you know, he doesn't see the struggle of it the way a person like Magneto who actually, you know what I mean? He
Yeah.
doesn't see it that same way because his upbringing was, a little bit more privileged, not in a bad way. He's a good character, good guy, but you just can't see it that way.
Yeah, he comes from. I get what you're saying. He comes from a certain place, and it's
Yeah,
funny that mentioning Magneto because a lot of people were like, "Oh, they're gonna make them black," and I'm like, "But aren't you?" Because Magneto is a Jewish character
mhm,
or a Gypsy character, and I feel like you're taking away from those people.
yeah,
If you go in that direction with this, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that now you're taking away from their representation.
yeah. And it's just more of to me like you just can't do it the same way. That's
Hmm.
the thing. It has to be a whole new rebuild, rebranding, new origins for them both.
Hmm.
That's risky. It could work. Like I said, Giancarlo, he definitely would play the role
Yeah.
correctly. That's not even a question. It's just the origin, the what made him this way. It would have to be different than what we know from Professor X.
Yeah. And his life experience would be different, and how he got to where he is would be different.
Yeah,
Same thing with Magneto. If we're gonna make him what he something else, then his whole experience is different than what the Magneto we know. experience different. That changes characters because
Yeah.
the way we know as writers that your character becomes what they become because of their journey.
Yeah,
And if
exactly.
your journey changes, then who you are changes.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Which is why, in my opinion, it should just be a different character.
I don't know, it works for me. I
Yeah.
know some people out there going, but Ralph, you don't understand. You got to show. You got to. I'm like, yeah, you do, but sometimes it's just better to start over.
Yeah, no, seriously. Give other opportunities. There's just plenty of people that deserve it. Plenty of characters, not even necessarily real people, but
Yeah,
that people love. So that's my take on it. Felt like I had a good amount of people agreed, but it is
I
what it
know.
is.
I know exactly what you're saying because I get in trouble all the time for what I'm saying.
It is what it is. You know what I mean?
Exactly. you know and it's also, I always find it a great conversation as a writer, especially. You always find it a great conversation because as we create, we understand the hero's journey. We understand all the stuff that happens. We What makes your character sometimes is something that comes from somewhere else, or something that nobody's thinking about.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then it's funny because what a lot of people want when it comes to X-Men and all this and that, they want what they've read before. Now,
Hmm.
if you're doing something different with that, you're not going to get what you read before. You're going to get a whole different take on it.
And I feel like most people hate when it's different.
Yeah,
Like the story, at least. You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Hmm.
At least for sure, the dog. Like I mean, look at Thor. The core Thor fans been cussing Marvel out ever since. And
Oh
I
yeah.
feel the same way about Hulk though. I genuinely can't stand Professor Hulk. I hate it. I hate it so much. There needs to be. I love Hulk because there needs to be that mindless destroy everything in it. That control and loss of it. That's the balance of that character.
The
But
tragedy of the character, yeah,
exactly. The
because you
trap.
lose the tragedy of the character. Hmm. I'm not
But
saying that it's not a good story to have a smart Hulk. I'm just saying that you lose the tragedy of what makes that character the character.
and it's messed up for me that like I wasn't a Thor fan until Ragnarok. So for me, I liked the comedic Thor because I thought the other Thor was boring. You know what I mean? But the Thor fans are the opposite. But it's like
Well,
I understand. I understand now.
that's because in the comics, Thor is also, thou and thee and thou, and
Yeah,
he's so serious. And to me, like I'm with you. I'm like, I like this comedic Thor. I like this guy who's having fun with it, who's going through his life, who's learning stuff. It kind of tells a good story.
yeah, I think so. I think it was dope. But everyone's gonna have their opinions, brother. You trying to set up my life, it's not working.
Oh man, but that's the whole fun of all this stuff, is all the geeking out we do, and that's how we come bring our passion to our comic books, because we understand the geekdom, we understand how the geek heart thinks,
Yeah.
and I can see that you completely you're in the geekdom, so I can see that
Yeah,
your
yeah,
books are there where you're going to tell a good story.
can nerd out all day.
Exactly.
You know, it's and it's like I wasn't really that big of a comic book reader. I was more into like novels. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm into the game or the shows, obviously, but I was in a film school and I learned how to write movie scripts, and that
Hmm.
was the goal originally for Impound. It still is the goal to be a movie, and then I ended up transitioning it to a comic book later on. You know what I mean? Not knowing how to make the movie a reality, I realized we need to build out the groundwork, build out the ground level, and build up to the movie versus trying to just jump straight to it.
Speaking of movie, good segue here.
Mhm.
I see that you got this little bit of clip of the of your anime that you're trying to make here, which which goes with what you were just saying. So let's see if it'll play, because I got enough connection issues over
We'll
here.
see. We'll see what's up. Thank you for watching another video by Impound. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
There's no reason to be ashamed. made a lot of money. That's not even a lot of listeners on this story. Oh, you take a chance on the title. Just make the fight look all natural. You got that impound?
Yes. I understand. Want to see more cartoons and animations from Impound Comics? Well, we need your help. To subscribe to our Patreon, go to patreon.com/Impound Comics. That's patreon.com/Impound Comics and pick one of our monthly subscriptions to help us grow and innovate.
So here's the question for you.
Yes,
Or
sir.
when you started this, was it to do an anime, or were you thinking more of the regular movies?
Well, when I first thought of Impound, I was thinking live action. I was thinking all the way live action, and then it just became realistic that was unrealistic. Um, and then now I want an animation. I want a live action series. I want a movie. I want all of them now.
Right.
But it's just the steps of getting to that. And this made the more sense. It was financially the most capable thing we could do at this time. And it just became this. I wasn't even intending on it yet. My illustrator, one of my illustrators, the same guy who created Seraph, um, he just sent me a clip of an animation that he made. He never animated before, and it was part of that. And he goes, "Does this look pretty good?" He was like, "I just did it like trying." I was like, "Yeah, man, let's try to make a whole episode if we can." He was like, "All right, I'm down." And then that's how that became. So he's working on the next episode now. They're probably going to drop within months of each other, realistically. But it's a step in the right direction.
It's a great idea, and again, it's also a direction that where you don't usually see minority imprints. You usually see more uh, of other things, or especially if you're looking at anime, it's more of a Asian culture type of thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's good to see something different. And I've seen a couple of good animes or urban animes, and I see a lot of people are getting some good stuff done out there.
right. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So, and it was funny. I was going back and forth in my head if I was going to call it an anime because I was like, I'm going to get backlash. Is it going to be annoying? And then I was like, I don't care. And it's like the guy who animated actually lives in the eastern side of the world, so it's like I have that at least to argue. But I was at the end of the day, I was kind of like, I don't care. It's definitely an anime style. I'm calling it an anime.
Dude, that's the whole point. If it's an anime style, then it's an anime.
I literally looked at the definition and that's what it said, and I was like, all right, nope, I don't care.
And it's so funny because anime is just short for animation.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like the stigma of animation is that whole when people think animation, they think Bugs Bunny, they think cartoons, and I feel like people forget that even those cartoons started off as adult entertainment.
Right, exactly. But people just always want to argue and be right. It is what it is.
Exactly. And we know the geek fights or the nerd fights because we do
Yeah,
them all.
right, exactly.
Oh man, but I like the way you're going and the steps you're going. I gotta admit, I do love your character, but I also love the Filipino hero because I love the story of how he came to be, how you chose him to be Filipino.
Yeah.
Share that with our audience.
Well, Seraph is, I call him our universe's Boba Fett. People who understand that reference was Boba Fett was never meant to really be anything other than kind of like an advanced stormtrooper. And then he got an identity because of the popularity from the public. And that was kind of the same thing with him. He was originally just a minion, and that's all. He never had a name. There was going to be hundreds of black and gold ninja looking characters. The idea was the Foot Clan from the Ninja Turtles, and that's all it was. And then when people started seeing them, they had so many questions, so many, who is this? Who is this? And then had to become a who. And then I named him Seraph based off of the fact that my main villain's Christ Jones. He has the Holy Mafia. He pushes on this narrative of being kind of like a deity, and Seraph is a biblical name for like an angel.
Right.
So that made sense that his general would be Seraph. And then when I thought of that, I still didn't put the where he's from yet. So then I had to figure out a way to tie in that culture. Um, well, I didn't have a culture yet. Well, when I was talking to my illustrator about where he should be from, him being from the Philippines is what inspired me to make Sarah from the Philippines. And then I had to think of how would Catholicism with Christ Jones as the ending tie into his now new culture of being in the Philippines. So then we tied in the Order of Shadows, which is his dojo, if you will, his temple
Mhm.
is. We tied them in as like Knights of Catholicism, kind of when that showed up to the Philippines and fighting off a whole a mythological story called the Aswang in the Philippines, which are like demons or angel. I'm not angel, excuse me, demon or vampire type of
Mhm.
characters. So now I made a whole thing where the order is against the Aswang. That was the original story. That's where the Catholic weapon kind of shows up to defeat these demonic creatures that I'm also going to make ninjas, but they're demons under their under their like mask. But yeah, man, it was a journey, man.
Dude, that sounds like a journey, man. As a writer, I can hear the process. I'm like, ooh, take a little bit over here. I love the fact that you actually went into the culture, went into the research,
Yeah.
and you thought things out so that how if this is happening, how does it work?
How does that work? Because I put the cart before the horse.
Hmm.
I designed them, I named them before I put what, and who, and where is he from. So I had to figure out ways to make it make sense in this world. But we figured it out. It was dope.
You did
And
a great job, yeah, putting it together. Speaking of guest stars, there's my little one jumping into the show like usual.
I see a few hair strands starting to come forward. I, I assumed it was like a producer off to the side working on the audio.
Well, she's producing something over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know
Well,
what it is. Sometimes you need good cameos.
yeah, absolutely. You got celebrities have been built on cameos of their kids.
Dude, man. And one of the things we know, especially with comic books, is we always like to see a character crossovers with another character, and do a new story and do stuff like that. So your universe is all put together, and so everybody crosses over with each other in this universe, right?
For the most part, not every single character is going to be.
Okay.
I have a much darker universe, I would say, than others. My characters are going to die and be gone. You know what I mean? So everyone's not going to see everyone, but that is the goal of the entire thing. Is the stories will cross over one way or another. Yeah,
Because I
I
can see that you're heading in that.
that
Let's
direction.
create. Let's
Hmm.
collab.
I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, so like the ruthlessness of that is very much in mind. People are going to get mad at some of my decisions with certain characters, but it is what it is.
Well, we all see what happens, because that's what happened with Boba Fett, and Lucas kills him off, and everybody's like, "What the hell? What's wrong with you?"
And then they bring him back, and everyone's mad how he came back.
I
It
find that the fan is never happy. So-
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me though. I didn't like Boba Fett, man. I wanted to like it so bad, and I genuinely just did not. He was too kind. He was too understanding. It did not make sense to me. In my mind, as soon as Boba Fett came out of that hole, he was supposed to be like, "Where's Luke Skywalker? I'm about to kill him for throwing me in there." And that's supposed to be his mission. You know
right.
what I mean? Like he just came out like, maybe I deserve that. I don't know. We'll turn over a new leaf.
I have to admit, like, to me, I feel like if he would have roamed around the galaxy being a gun for hire for a little while, and
Yeah.
then something happened to make his mind change, that would have made more sense. Like the first season should have been him like roaming around, taking jobs, killing people, and then maybe something happens that changes his heart. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
He shouldn't have just showed up healed. You know what I mean? And all forgiven. Like he's coming out of that hole with extreme rage. There is no way someone's throwing you in the belly of a monster, and you're just gonna come out and be okay with that.
No.
Like,
There's gonna be a lot of hate there.
yeah, there's no way, bro.
And if you can't take it out on the person who did it to you, you're gonna take it out by other people.
Everyone in between. Whoever's not pointing you in the right direction, like you are gonna be angry.
Like personally, I liked the story. It was okay, but I can see that the journey needed another step. It needed something else. It needed him to go somewhere, stuff happen, and then go, wait, maybe my life isn't what it should be.
Yeah, yeah. He had to. What would have made sense is maybe, at least how if I would have wrote it, I don't know the name of the female character that's like his right hand.
Right.
Something brutal or something would have had to have happened to her because he wouldn't stop. Change like his mind state. You know what I mean? Or something. It would have to be like something that he got attached to. Something bad happens to that.
Exactly.
His fault.
They lose something. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was like it just felt wrong. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't good until Grogu and Mando showed up. Then all of a sudden the show was good again.
Well, that's what I was saying though. They're like, oh, this isn't Boba Fett. This is like this is like the part 2 of the other series.
Yeah. All of a sudden it just became that. They're like, man, let's bring in Mando. I don't know what we're doing.
It's so funny though because I feel like if they really wanted to make a series, they could have done a series on his right hand because she's great.
Yeah,
I would have loved to see her as like the main star.
Yeah, that'd be dope. That'd be super. Yeah. She's the one that's still ruthless.
She's fun. She's relaxing. You know, she still has some kind of morals, but at the same time, she'll break them.
Yeah, exactly. She's dope.
You know, but it's funny that we're going in that direction because you know, just like you, well, you know, sometimes we'll find a character that we're working on, and that character is like a side character.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you know, you're like, I like that character, and then things start to build from that.
Well, I learned to listen. Don't just, you know what I mean, be God of your universe to an extent that you can't take what the public is telling you. The public made it brutally honest that Seraph needs an origin, and that's what's gonna happen. And that was a good decision. I'm glad I listened.
So let me ask you this then: did you see the potential in the character when you created him, or did you have to see the audience feedback on it?
He was a minion with no name. He wasn't even a solo character. He was just this is what Bryce Jones' minions are looking like. That's all it was a post about. And then that just I made him a character relatively quick though. After that first initial post, it was the most like likes and engagement we got on any post. So it was like, okay, this is no longer a minion now. I got to figure something out.
But that's what happens though. I don't know if you've ever played D&D before. But you know, one of the things that happens when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons is like you set up this whole world, and you got everybody who they're supposed to participate with, who they're supposed to have fun with, and you're like, okay, cool. And the group that's playing decides to talk to this side character that you probably haven't even created anything for, and you're like, what are you talking to him for? And I find that happens a lot.
It's a nobody. And then it was crazy too because even when I first designed Seraph, he looked different. He looked very similar, but he looked different. He had a cross on his face. But then someone commented, and I'm a huge Spawn fan, and someone commented, that looks like the Redeemer. And I was like, and I went and looked at a picture of the Redeemer, and I was like, it looked exactly like the Redeemer to me. Like it was almost no different. And he didn't inspire anything, but I was like, dang. And so then I changed it to just the one slit. And then everybody started saying, that looks like Snake Eyes. I was just like, whatever. I don't have time for this.
I always tell people the same thing. I'm like, dude, man, there's got to be some similarity somewhere. Come on.
Yeah, I was like, whatever. But he looked more like the Redeemer than he does like Snake Eyes. So I was like, the Snake Eyes thing, I was just like, whatever. But Redeemer, when I looked at a picture of it, I was like, it's the exact.
You got to change it. Yeah. Well, at least with Snake Eyes, it's something that's been done for various characers, not just Snake Eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, Snake Eyes is just a ninja. I mean,
that's why he's like that.
Yeah, I was more inspired by the Foot Clan, and it's still, whatever. Those kind of still similar looking. So. It is
Oh
what it is.
yeah, but you know as well as I do that the whole thing, all the stories have been told. It's just
Yeah.
your way of telling the story your way.
Yeah, your own twist on it, your own flavor.
Exactly, and that's what makes the story live, what come to life, become something else, and then people go, I like this.
Yeah. hmm And it's like no matter what you even intended, whatever you were inspired by, people will see something else too. So it doesn't even matter. Like the impound, this whole MMA, throwing the fight, um, even my character Christ Jones, that was a big, hugely inspired by Pulp Fiction, and it was like Christ Jones was Ving Rhames' character,
Hmm.
Bruce Willis throwing the fight against him. But as soon as I told the origin, people are always talking about Daredevil and his dad, and
Ooh,
that wasn't even a kind of, I wasn't thinking about that at all.
right.
You know, but when I say Pulp Fiction, people are like, oh, it was like you probably never put Pulp Fiction and Daredevil in the same category either. You know what I mean? But it's there, you know. They were throwing a fight against a gangster, so and decided not to. So that's what it was really about.
It's funny though because that's a classic story.
Mhm.
With what you're talking about there with the gangster wanting to lose the fight, and that's classic.
Yeah,
That's old detective noir. That's old movies. That's it's one of
that's
those
just
things that's been done. Yeah,
old real life, fighting,
exactly.
events, gladiator events. That was just part of it. Was people forcing their influence on you, trying to make you do something.
Exactly. I,
you know,
I agree with you. I think it's funny when people are like, well, there's been times where I'll write something and they go, oh my God, I can't believe that you use this as an inspiration. And I'm like, what?
did I? I think I did. I
That's
didn't
not
even.
where it came from.
Yeah, no idea.
Or they'll look at something and go, oh my God, that was so creative when you put this in there as a symbol of this. And I'm like, no, I just
Yeah.
like that.
No, I didn't even do that. There was this. I have a thing in my series that's called Steroid X, and it's like super serum. And then when I was talking about it, someone goes, "Wow, so you just copied Compound V?" And I'm like, the fact that Compound V is your example, like that's the first super serum to you, like get out of here. No, I didn't copy Compound V. If anything, you could have said I copied like the Captain America Gamma Super Serum or something. But like Compound V, bro, you just heard of that last year. You just heard of that.
Dude, yeah, it's funny. Let me see. They could have done Captain America. They could have done Venom because
Yeah,
the Venom serum.
it's like that was not the invention. And I'm like, bro, just so you know, I thought of this in 2018. The Boys, I hadn't even watched it yet. I didn't even know what it was yet. I don't even know if it was out. It's only 3 seasons now, so it couldn't have been that long.
Dude, they could have thought Powerpuff Girls. You know,
How like there's like the fact that you think Compound V was the invention of super serums. Like, get out of here, bro.
but it kind of showcases where people are coming from, and we know that in this geekdom, we're just like we just love what we love, and
Yeah,
you can tell that people are in love with their geekdom and having so much fun with it.
yeah. Because someone said also too, they were like, "Did you make him an MMA fighter because of the Mortal Kombat movie?" And I was like, Impound One came out 6 months before the Mortal Kombat movie, because the what's it called Scorpion's grandson was doing
Right.
MMA. And
Hmm.
he did it. And I'm like,
Okay, I was gonna say because
my
when you're
book
saying Mortal Kombat movie, I'm thinking Mortal
came out in the
Kombat.
90s. Yeah, the new one. And my book came out 6 months before that movie, and people were still asking me, did I copy the movie? And I'm like, my book came out first. They didn't copy me. I didn't copy them. MMA is a
No,
thing.
that's just the thing that again, that's another one of those tropes.
Yeah,
Hey, hey, well, what do we need to do? Why don't we make them this? Okay, that sounds great.
yeah. That's all
Before
they
it was
know.
what it's the classic. Oh, he's doing martial arts. He's in this other martial arts school. So that's the classic one of it.
That's the simple thing. Simple stuff.
Exactly.
It's a very popular sport. There will be other MMA fighters.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm waiting for more MMA superheroes. I'm surprised there aren't that many MMA.
There's a good amount now. They're still all like independent though. Like I feel like because I have an MMA superhero, I see them.
Right.
It's like it's like if you drive a silver Toyota,
You start seeing,
you
yeah.
see all these silver Toyotas everywhere. You know what I mean? So I've seen a lot of really dope MMA stories, but they're always different. But I see them, more frequently probably than most people do.
It makes sense, and then you're right. As you start seeing certain things, you see more of that certain thing.
And because other people show it to you, like then you have like your fans that support you, and they're like, "Hey, I think this guy's copying," and I'm like, "Nah, bro, it's all good, man.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't go after him." Oh, I know what
Exactly.
you're talking about because I have a teddy bear superhero, and all I get now is, "Ralph, have you seen this book? Ralph, have you seen this book?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same story."
Like, brother, it's a teddy bear at the same time. I am not the invention of any of this.
Exactly.
Glad you are this passionate about my work.
I'm like, bro, I appreciate the support. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's all good. We're gonna be okay.
So where do you see your? I can tell that you want to build on the company itself, on the comic lines. Where do you see you going from this?
I mean, man, we're in for the full journey. You know what I mean? Stuff that I want to be Marvel. I want to be DC one day. I want to be on that level. I might not even live long to make it to there, but I hope whoever is the protege keeps us going. But
Exactly.
that's the goal. To have an amusement park, to have an impound tower downtown Sacramento. Just movies. Animated shows. We're working on a 3D game. Everything. There's there's no limit. I really want to go heavy into sports attire, just because of the impound being an MMA fighter. I think we can go into that lane, with mouthpieces and gloves and shorts and you know
Yeah, it makes
uh,
total sense. It's a natural progression. Yeah.
natural progression. And like I was saying earlier, when you first asked what separates us, that's also part of it. Is I think we're still in a position where I can make urban clothing, just fashionable clothes that I think Marvel and DC would never be able to do. Theirs is too engraved into just only comic wear. No one will ever see a Marvel shirt like a jacket and maybe. I mean, I'm not gonna say never, but it wouldn't feel as authentic like have Marvel clothes in a rap video. It'll just kind of look like this guy's just he's a rapper and he's a comic
He
book.
likes Marvel.
Yeah, I feel like we could take the whole being a factor in urban wear, with our like type of audience. You know what I mean? So that's part of what I want to do as well. And I actually want to work on that sooner than later.
So you're looking at much more than just well, look at these comics. You're like you want to make a mark on the world.
Exactly.
Hmm.
I'm not even gonna lie, like the comic aspect of it is just me laying out the foundation that is necessary. I love doing it. I have to do it, but it's also like me in the space where I have to be doing this part of it right now. This is just I'm in the heavy lifting, but my eyes are set on the cinematic world.
And it's funny because a lot of people like to put us in a cage, and I
Yeah,
tell people all the time, stop putting the fandom in a cage.
right.
Stop putting this stuff is bigger than what it is, and that's what the issue is. That's why you got all the stuff happening now. That's why you got all these companies looking for where's the next big thing is going to be coming from because it's bigger than it is. It's a way of telling stories.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, if the next 20, 30 years, if I'm only still writing comic books, I'm going to feel like we didn't achieve all of our goals. You know what I mean? Not saying I'm ever going to stop. I'm always going to be down to write comic books. It's always going to be it's a part of my life. Before it was a company, I was only writing because I felt like it. You know what I mean? So I'll never stop writing because it's just not, I get a story in my head and it can't stay in there. It's going to bother me. But
Oh, I completely feel where you're coming from because I constantly have to throw something out there or I'll challenge myself. Like I was saying, we did this let's write a story together thing with the audience where they threw all this stuff at me, and I was like, okay, let's put all this together. Let's see where we go with it. Let's have some fun with it, because that creative process is just amazing.
Right, absolutely. Totally agree with you.
And I can tell that you're set to go in this place where, okay, let's create, let's have fun, let's make things happen. Let's be more than just this. We're not saying that just this is bad, but we want to be more.
Yeah, exactly. Keep them guessing. Keep progress. That's all it is. Because it's like I said, like with me, I've always been a fan of Marvel and DC, but I wasn't a heavy comic book reader. So that's what made me have that awareness that fans aren't going to always just be in the comic books. Fans will be in the games. Fans will be, in the show. There are fans that they don't do any of that. They just listen to my crash courses telling about quick, overviews of the characters,
Right.
And that's their favorite character just because I told them about it.
And I completely agree. And I've seen your TikToks, and you do a great job at conveying and explaining. And I have to say, because that's where I first saw you, and I was like, dude, this guy's really, I like what he's explaining here. And like you said, some people will just take that and run with it.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all they need to know. They have enough information to go with it and talk about it.
Exactly.
I've been that person before, so I know it exists. But the whole me being in the forefront, that's like only been going for like the last 4 months. I was in the background completely. No one ever seen my face like the first year and a half. And then when we got our store, the news stations wanted to start interviewing me. People started wanting to interview me, and I got used to just speaking. And then I was doing TikTok. I couldn't understand how to break through on it. And then I did an explanation video once. That was the first video that did well. And up till this day, me explaining is pretty much the best engagement on TikTok I get. Now I'm just used to it. Now it just is what it is,
Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from.
I look at my TikToks like 3 months ago, and the way I was explaining is so horrible to me. It's so boring. And I just got comfortable really fast.
Dude, man. And it's funny, again, it's another place where people like trying to pigeonhole TikTok, because they go, the TikTok is just this. I'm like, no, the TikTok is more than that. That's why so many people are migrating to TikTok, because it's more than it is.
TikTok is the greatest social platform ever. I didn't see that for a long time. The engagement is better. The finding your audience is brilliant on there, and it's built to keep your audience. The problem was with TikTok was I looked at it as it's a social network, but it's more so a television, a mobile television network. You're more so like showing them. It's half Instagram, half YouTube.
Right.
And I think it was looked at as more closer to competing with only Instagram.
Yeah.
But it is a stage where everyone's not going to be willing to make TikToks because it takes effort.
Yeah.
But everyone's willing to watch the people who are willing to make it, just like television. I'm not going to make a show, but I'm going to watch every single one that comes on TV. And that's more of what TikTok is like.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's a form of entertainment. It's a form. It's a way to get your message out. It's a way to entertain people. It's a way to talk, just because you want to get whatever you're inside here out.
Yeah. If I want to direct message someone and talk to someone, I always go straight to Instagram. I don't even think about it on TikTok like that. But TikTok is just the stage. And it's the only platform I've ever seen that doesn't try to stop you from using other platforms. It lets you freely connect with everyone else. And whenever a TikTok video is doing well, I notice my Instagram is doing well at the same time, but not vice versa though.
That's true. Well, that's because each one wants to do their own thing. That's as soon as TikTok started going crazy, you started having reels and shorts.
The reels they still have not figured it out. You look on your reel, and you're just gonna see motivational quotes over like construction projects.
Mm-hmm.
That's like everyone's real explore page. TikTok shows you what you show TikTok that you're interested in.
Exactly, and that's what I like about TikTok. It's whatever you're interested in, that's your platform. That's what you're doing. You don't have to be something else. I know there's some people that get on because they're trying to get big, they're trying to get famous, and you always have those people, and they always copy other people. But at the same time, it's so liberating, and I do feel like TikTok does have its shortcomings, and one of them is that people will come after you because whatever reason.
Yeah. Oh no, TikTok definitely has the highest amount of trolls.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
Just blind, no pictures. You don't even know who it is. It's gonna be a picture of a bit apple.
Oh, dude, that bugs me out. Is when other people start taking your stuff and they start running with it, and I'm like, you're not me.
Yeah, there's already impound backup pages, and I'm like, no, there's not.
and they start talking to your people, and you're like, that's not me.
Yeah, we're not at danger.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's a funny industry. It's a funny world. It's amazing what people will do, just to do whatever they're trying to do, or or mess with you.
Right, absolutely.
All right, so speaking of which, we crossed over a bunch of places where you're actually showcasing your stuff. Let the audience know what all these places are, where they can find you, where you are, how they can follow the progress of your company.
So our website, our personal website, impoundcomics.com, is a big one. That's where everything is on there available digitally, whether it's an audio book, physical copies. Our biggest stage is TikTok. Our second biggest stage is Instagram. And it's Impound Comics across the board on all social platforms. We have everything. We're launching our actual Twitch today. I'm going to be, as soon as we get off at 6 p.m. my time, I'm doing my first full TikTok broadcast on multiverses.
Cool.
So, making our strides right now,
Oh, now that you brought multiverse up, what do you think about the game?
I haven't played an actual person. That's going to be my first thing. That's the first thing. I've only I did the tutorial and I played a bot. So this whole first video is the purpose of this. Is you're watching me for the first time actually play it, but playing it, it's Smash Brothers. It's dope.
It looks great, man. I love the fact that you got all these characters in it.
I loved Smash Brothers. That was one of my favorite games for a long time. So a kind of a new version of that is cool. It looks a little bit like they put too many childish characters, but it is what it is. Like I don't.
At the same time, we like those childish characters.
Yeah, it's like Shaggy Dude. Why is he in this?
Oh, Velma? We're gonna fight as Velma? Okay, I'll fight as
Velma. So just a little bit with that, but it's fine. It is what it is. Still, but the gameplay that I played, it's really cool. And then I was always wondering why WB took so long to even make a game like that. They should have been like trying to compete with Smash Brothers
ages ago, man.
but it made the most sense now. Being the term multiverse is so popular right now. That name, beautiful timing. Beautiful timing.
Oh man. And I know you're moving in that direction of making your own game. Any idea of what you're looking at to make?
So we have a game already. So we have a mobile game called Impound Vengeance. That's a 2D game. But we're in the process of making a 3D game, similar to Injustice or Mortal Kombat, where it's full 3D and 1v1. I have no idea when that'll be done. Right now, where we are, Impound is fully animated and rigged. And right now, Seraph is being rigged. And this week, he's supposed to be showing me to test it. So I imagine we're still really far. But this is why I'm starting the Twitch part of it now, because I want to build
total sense.
As big as I can before that day comes. But I definitely think out of everything that we're working on, beyond this documentary, that could be dope. But I think the game is going to be our first huge step that can be the company's whole backbone. And I like the books, like I said, are the building it up. That's the heavy lifting. But I think the game can be the first thing to take us to the mainstream or the next level. So it's capable of being that.
And it's funny because again, it's one of those places where they keep trying to compartmentalize or separate all the geekdoms. Like it's all geekdom. It's all they're all connecting to each other. Stop trying to separate.
Yeah.
If you like, some people like video games, they like comics, they like it all. So and as we can see from Multiverse, that's a crossover of everything.
Of all of that, yeah. So that's really our thing, man. Is just trying to grab everyone from every corner. So the gaming journey starts today.
Dude, I always say the same thing. Like we like to be here on the Bit and Apple talking about geekery, all things geek, because it's all connected. We're all brothers and sisters. People, come on.
Yeah, a brother from a different mother type thing.
Exactly. Your game geek, your comic geek. What happens when you have a comic book that's made into a game?
Right, exactly.
Dude, and sometimes your game becomes a comic book, or your game becomes a movie, or your game becomes a cartoon.
You never know. Vice versa. And that's nobody's dominated that market better than Pokemon now.
Yeah.
They've never won game, trading card game, television show. Like they were the leader of almost every avenue at a point. Still are in a lot of ways, but that's the goal. I looked up that Pokemon's worth $100 billion now. It's just like that's so insane.
Dude, man, I was there when Pokemon first started, and I'm like in awe of where it is now.
Yeah.
To me, especially when it first came over here, it was just this cartoon show because I didn't know anything about the game, as much back then. Because to me it was just the cartoon show, and then the cartoon show led to me to finding all this other stuff out, and then led me to playing the Game Boy, and it was an interesting rabbit hole to follow.
Yeah, no, everything. They had everyone hooked on every part of their company, man.
Oh, definitely, man.
It's about animal abuse for the most part. You find these animals, you beat them up, you enslave them, and make them fight for it.
Dude, I say the same thing, man. If you did that to a couple of dogs, you'd be in jail.
Yeah, that's what Michael Vick went down for, man. And it's just like it's so crazy. And it's like even when you start thinking of like the stuff that's at the top, like Mario, when you break down his storyline, like he's an Italian plumber that's somehow attached to this princess that this turtle dragon has in prison. It's like, what?
It makes it worse when you realize that Mario started off fighting Donkey Kong, and then you're like, how do we get from there to here?
How did we get over here? He's a plumber. How did this become his destiny?
Exactly. And what happened to Donkey Kong?
Yeah. Donkey Kong just went on his own thing.
Oh, man. It's funny. Here is our pal Nat showing up near the end of the show. I know you've been down there for a while, but you got into the middle of the geeking out here, Nat.
No, I've been here for a while.
That's what I just said. I know you've been there for a while, but you got into the middle of the geeking out, man.
No, I've been here for a lot more than a little while. It's been a while.
Hey, it's a little while.
I see that I'm here, Ralph, at 5:27. That was like 4 minutes ago.
No. I've been here long before that.
Yeah, he was here a little while. I saw him pop in down there, but I didn't have a place in the conversation to stick him in. So I was like, okay, you're going to have to wait.
That's messed up.
I thought it was just going to be a VIP tonight.
Well, now Nat's the special end show guest.
Just in time to do all the normal readings and whatnot. Okay, I see what this is. This is your way of getting out of doing the ending card.
I don't know what you're talking about, Nat. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no ulterior motive.
Am I doing the ending card or what?
Well, not yet. We're going to say,
okay.
So Brent, what do you want to leave the audience with? What do you want them to know as we finish up the show today?
Man, that we are building our entire universe. Support the indies. Dive into something new, organic, authentic, and Impoundcomics.com. That's the best place to find us.
And they do got a great website. I've been showing it all night. I was going to show off the Instagram and the Facebook, but I figured this their website actually does a good job of showcasing them.
Thank you. I appreciate it. we spend a lot of time on it, you know. So I would it better, you know, at this point, all the time we just.
Well, at least you can tell. And by me, I was able to show everything off on your website, and that's pretty cool. Usually, I got to go to the Facebook or I got to go to the Instagram. I got to go to every little bit to show like bits and pieces. But it was easy to show like all the stuff you guys are doing.
Right. I appreciate you. We try to keep it consistent, you know.
There you have it, guys. Go to impoundcomics.com. Check out their stuff. These guys are doing some great stuff out there. Check out his TikTok, and you'll get a better understanding of his universe, of how he's created these characters. Especially if you're a writer, you'll get insight on the writing process.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, Nat. Now you can do your thing.
All right. So thank you for coming and listening to us do Apple Bites today. Don't forget that on Wednesdays we have the late night right now at 10:30 starting this weekend, correct? Yep,
starting this week we are at 10:30 because we have no guests this week.
All right. And so aside from that, we also have no, Tropicon was last weekend. Okay, no cons this week.
Yeah, Tropicon just happened. This weekend there's actually no con.
So there we go. So just tune back again on Monday for another session of Apple Bites.
There you go. There you have it, folks. Apple Bites. Take a bite out of the apple and share it with each other, because we are always geeking out here and we're always having fun. Folks, do yourselves a favor, support each other, help each other rise, and make sure to have fun. And with that, I'll do what I always do. I'll press the button, and where it stops,